Hi, my name's Hilton Scher, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of SurfCode. Today we're going to be talking about ADA compliance and instant accessibility tools and third-party applications in the context of ADA compliance. We're going to address what are instant accessibility tools and how third-party ADA applications can help or hurt us. There are tools that you can install on your site by just inserting a piece of code into your website, very similar to something like Google Analytics. And this will essentially override your code and help your site to be more accessible, or at least that's the thought and the idea. So is this too good to be true? And we'll dig into this and try to understand the advantages and disadvantages. So why would you spend thousands of dollars fixing your site if you can just fix it easily and cheaply just by, buying a tool that costs a few bucks a month to run on your site? So let's look at what you actually get. Even using these tools, you can still end up receiving a legitimate lawsuit. While it's a good stopgap to install a tool like this, if you are dealing with some legal issues, you can't really just install this tool and walk away and assume everything is 100% ADA compliance. Once you install this tool, it still requires that your site be tested, and then you still need to fix items that are found, or you need to address it with the tool that you're using support so that you can resolve any of the issues that are still not coming up as compliant. Automated testing doesn't fix everything, and that's exactly what these tools are doing. They're running automated tests on your sites, figuring out what's not compliant and trying to fix them on the fly. This can work in certain simple sites and simple scenarios, but the more complex your site is, the more manual attention it will typically need. If you've got a complex site with e-commerce, logins, user accounts, tables, graphs, complex user journeys and interactions, it's very likely that a simple overlay tool, instant accessibility tool, is not really going to work for you. The other thing is, if you've already invested a lot of time in assistive technologies, then having those kind of overlays may actually override your existing assistive technologies and may land up actually confusing the matter and making it more difficult for someone who's accessing your site with a disability. And let's think about that user. A customer with a disability, possibly has been using an assistive technology like JAWS or NDVA for quite a bit of time. They've possibly gone through training, maybe even years of training on using their devices and screen readers. So when you just put an overlay that does a lot of these things, they can actually cause conflicts, and sometimes they'll actually cause the customer with a disability to actually turn off their preferred screen reader, and they're now using something that they're not familiar with using, on a regular basis, and that can actually cause more confusion and problems than initially intended. Lack of certainty. So every page that we test, we run up against WCAG 2.0, typically AA, and there are 37 criteria that they need to pass to actually make your page accessible. WCAG, in their criteria, does not actually list any plugins or plugins in general as being a means of conforming, because really it does depend on the plugin. There are a lot of good plugins that I've seen and a lot of really bad assistive plugins that I've seen. So you've really got to take it by case basis, install it on a staging version of your site, test your site, and see if it really did improve your accessibility results and that it hasn't had any other impact on your site. Other impacts that it can have on your site by installing these overlays is performance. And anyone who's working on a website really understands that performance is key. So you don't want to be doing all this work on SEO and ensuring that your site's performing well, and then be impacted by using an overlay tool that really changes the way your site works, changes the way you're processed and ranked by Google. And this is really a case of compensating with these instant overlay tools versus really taking the time to optimize and fix the core code that you've got for an existing site, or obviously if you're in a great situation where you're building a new site, making sure that you roll all of these things into your new site as best practice. Third-party tools. If you're in a tight spot and you need to meet a compliance deadline, or if you have somewhat limited budget, finding third-party applications can really help you meet compliance goals quickly and can do them really well. So, for example, if you have an e-commerce platform and it's a custom e-commerce platform, you might have to spend a lot of time to get that e-commerce platform ADA compliant. Not only each page, but the interactions between each page. There's a lot of complex logic that might need to be dealt with. Versus you could just pick one of the really popular e-commerce platforms that's used by thousands or millions of users every day. And those platforms, because they've used by so many people, they generally are fairly ADA compliant to start with. And that means you can really get an ADA compliant product almost out of the box. Like I said, you'd still need to test and make sure it is after you've done your customization or any changes to it before you launch. But those platforms, because they're shared platforms and they have so many users and so much feedback from those users, those platforms are often ADA compliant already. Something to be aware of with third-party tools is you cannot outsource your discrimination, so be really careful with that. If you are in a legal situation, you cannot say, oh, this was a third-party tool that I used on my website, but I didn't build it. If you're using it, you are responsible for it. And like I mentioned, there are some really great platforms out there that are ADA compliant that you can use to leverage to become ADA compliant or for parts of your site to be ADA compliant, but not all third-party tools are ADA compliant. And unfortunately, not all third-party tools that are compliant today will actually be compliant tomorrow. We've actually seen some regression where tools, third-party tools or integrations have actually released updates, and those updates have landed up actually, while maybe being better for other reasons, have actually been a step backwards as far as the ADA compliance. So it is your responsibility to check all the third-party tools that you do have on your site and to check them regularly. We typically reckon at least once a month or once a quarter doing some kind of manual and automated scan just to ensure that nothing's changed with those third-party tools or that nothing's been broken on your core site. Takeaway, I like to always give you a couple next steps just to break it down because people are like, okay, so what do we do next? So test your site. You have no excuse not to. It's free. You can use Google Lighthouse in your browser. There's a lot of really great other tools that you can use as well that can run reports on your entire site or user journeys. If you're in a tight spot and you find that there is an appropriate third-party instant accessibility tool or third-party platform that you can work with that is already accessible, you move towards that. You use that either in the stopgap or make that change and move towards that kind of platform that's going to assist you. Add an accessibility statement to your website. Don't overpromise on what you're going to do, but state that it's important to you and state that what your plan is long term to really achieve accessibility and your commitment to accessibility. We have some previous videos, and you can find some links to those as well. I'll put in the description. Continue to regularly test your site with automated and manual testing. While manual testing is usually a lot more expensive than automated testing, automated testing can only pick up so much. Typically, about 70% can be caught with automated, and you need really manual testing for QA. If you're really pushed for budget, I suggest doing automated testing most of the time, and at least once a year, trying to get a little bit of manual QA with with people with disabilities to actually step through the site and make sure that is in fact accessible. And step 5, whatever you find when you're testing your site, start fixing, even if it's just a little bit, even if you fix one item a month, over time, this will have an impact. Prioritize those items that need to be fixed, what's going to have the highest impact, what's going to be the easiest to fix, and, try to find a happy medium in the middle that you can, make progress every month with your site. There are some instant accessibility tools out there. I'm not going to recommend any specifically, but I will just tell you about some, and you can definitely check these ones out. UsableNet does both manual auditing of your site as well as they do have a DOM rewriter that comes with legal protection. So they obviously all vary in price, all these different tools, but some will actually come with some degree of legal protection. So, you know, you're both making the effort as well as being covered on the legal side and got some insurance there, which I know a lot of companies, find really important. They don't want to fix a bunch of things and still get called out. So check out these tools, take a look at them and see if they can enhance your site. And definitely spend a little bit of time on ADA. You can reach out to me at info@surfcode.io. And once again, I'm founder and CEO of Surfcode. I've got 20 years of web development experience, mostly with content management systems, UI and UX, and ADA obviously falls nicely into the UX space. Have a great day, and I hope to hear from you.